The Republican National Committee has announced dates for its 2016 convention. The event will be held in Cleveland in mid-July, about 6 weeks earlier than the 2012 convention. Party Chairman Reince Priebus moved up the convention as part of a strategy to
in Ohio. Do they really want to go there?
The nominee gain earlier access to the general election funds. Priebus has sought to strengthen the 2016 nominee by scaling back the number of debates as well. So, Mark Halperin, you're in San Diego covering the Republicans' winter meeting. What do we expect to hear from that?
Announcement later today that the first day of the convention will be devoted to capturing terrorists and murderers.
Yes, in Ohio. Exactly.
Has never been done
it's
before.
It's going to be hard getting back
to
the Buckeye State for me. I love that place. But anyway, go ahead.
The delegates are going to fan out all over Ohio and just capture people, bring them back to the convention hall. Look, Governor Romney's going to be here tomorrow night, but we're going to hear Ben Carson and Scott Walker speaking today. Rick Perry is also speaking tomorrow. And all the buzz here is about the 2016 race, and a lot of surprise and question about what Governor Romney is doing and whether it's a little bit of a mirage and he might not even run, or if he does run, collapse before he gets ahead of steam, or has he transformed the race? That is a huge topic here.
Michael Steele, it's been a remarkable, let's call it 10 days, maybe 2 weeks in the party that you once led as that chairman of the RNC, with Jeb Bush effectively announcing that he's getting into the race for all intents and purposes, and Mitt Romney then sort of being pressured, I guess, by the pace of Jeb's announcement to do the same. What do you make of this, the developments over the last 2 weeks? Do you think Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush actually do run, and are they standing on the stage at those late debates?
I do. I think that Mitt Romney has done a reassessment of the caliber and quality of the potential challengers, and said, because you recall, he said, I'm not going to run unless, I see that there's someone or no one who can do this. And I think he's looking at, his position on a number of issues, whether it was on Russia or the economy, as being correct, and he's kind of got this new mojo. And I think he's going to be there. He's going to be in play. The same with Jeb Bush. But I have to tell you, Willie, the exciting part for me is yet to come, and that is the Republican governors. When the Republican governors begin to throw down on this thing and get in this race, that's when I really think the dynamics change, because you're talking about two former governors who've been out for 8 and 12 years respectively. You're talking about versus governors who served through the recession, who had to deal with Obamacare, who had to deal with the changes in our economy and govern through that. And so when they engage in this conversation, that's when it's going to be a real test of wills within the GOP, this whole establishment versus Tea Party. I think that kind of goes away, and it's really going to be about who can govern this country and who has.
Mark Halperin, I've just got to say, this is really inside baseball where politics and media collide, but I found it fascinating. It's, you always hear those stories about how tabloids back in like the 1800s would pick a party and or bash this candidate and bash this other. It's fascinating, the little sort of back and forth between the Washington Post, which has officially become Mitt Romney's newspaper, and the New York Times, which officially trashes Mitt Romney for the benefit of Jeb Bush. Every day there's a anti-Jeb story and a pro-Mitt story in the Washington Post, which is then followed by a pro-Jeb story and an anti-Mitt story in the New York Times. It has played that way out for the past couple of weeks, and it's just fascinating.
It's totally fascinating. Of course, the Wall Street Journal editorial page breaks the tie and votes against Romney. The Jeb people and the Mitt people are behind the scenes. The candidates, would-be candidates, are doing a ton of stuff, but they're doing very little in public. Part of why there's so much interest in Governor Romney coming to the RNC meeting tomorrow is we don't hear from them very often. Jeb Bush is in California as well, but he's not doing public events. And the press right now is consumed, as you suggested, not just those two big papers, but a lot of the political media with this question of, will we see a Romney-Bush face-off? What does that mean for Christie, for some of the current governors that Michael Steele referred to? This is not over coverage, though, because what's happening right now will really determine the contours of the race, even if there's 24 candidates besides those two guys.